Tonight we have 3 true tales from Reddit, all featuring road trips. No ghosts, only intent. Headlights vanish in a gorge. A white truck crowds the lane. A friendly request at a quiet station is anything but. Buckle up. Let's begin.
The road runs like a black ribbon beside the river, and the dash clock blinks past 3 in the morning. My sister rides shotgun with a bag of chips between her knees, and a phone that died an hour ago. Pines lean in like a crowd at a railing, and our headlights carve a narrow tunnel that feels borrowed rather than owned. Somewhere beyond the trees, the river folds, and folds again, steady and cold. A pair of taillights sits ahead of us like a heartbeat. I signal, ease out, and pass. The other driver is a shadow with both hands at 10 and 2, and for a few seconds, I feel the small victory of getting by a rolling roadblock. The song fizzles into static and then into nothing. In the mirror, those taillights slide behind us and settle, neat and centered. The gorge tightens and the lane feels thin as a shoulder. We talk to keep it light. The never-open snack stop, the ferry sign we always miss, the silly games we used to play to stay awake. The car behind holds a perfect 2 car lengths. Not close, not far, a distance that feels chosen rather than random. My hands stay calm on the wheel. My jaw does not. The car behind finally glides past and takes a turn out. We both breathe, and my sister laughs at the way I drop my shoulders like I've been holding a heavy box. The tunnel of light grows again. Then a minute later, like a coin rolling back across the table, the same car emerges from a short lane and slides in behind us at that exact distance. We try a quiet test. I add 5 miles, then take 5 away, then tap the brake to flash the lights. The car behind answers each change like it can hear my thoughts. We do not say the word weird. Saying it would break a seal. The heater fan clicks. The glass sings against a gust of crosswind, and the river keeps its indifferent hush. A small tunnel approaches, concrete walls, a brief mouth in the rock. We pass through, and the radio gives up the fight. In the mirror, glare blooms as the other car swings out, then tucks back in. I pretend the move means nothing. My sister watches the mirror the way you watch a pot that you know will boil anyway. The car behind pulls level with our back door. Then, as if someone reached into the dark and pinched a wire, the lights vanish. The lane beside us becomes a hole. I feel my scalp pull tight. The blind spot alert makes its soft metronome click, and I measure my breath so it does not sound like panic. The night seems to hold a shape I cannot see. I keep my hand steady, 10 and 2, straight as a string. My sister cranes and finds nothing except the feeling of something traveling next to us with attention like a ruler. The tunnel of our headlights looks flimsy now, paper in the rain. I hear our tires whisper over the seam in the asphalt. I hear my own pulse in my ears. Without warning, a white flare bursts ahead. Headlights, alive again, as the other car rockets forward, cuts across, and vanishes around the bend. Laughter comes out of both of us at once, a broken sound that is not relief and not humor. I say, next exit. She says yes. We both look for the little green promise that says fuel and coffee and vacancy. A mile marker slides by. 2 miles, 1 mile. I count reflectors like beads. Bars of service are gone, which makes me feel small. The mirrors show only our own cone of light, and somehow that is worse than seeing the car. I hold the lane as if moving side to side would invite something. I tell myself the other car is long gone. I tell myself there is no plan. Yet I feel pressure on my inner ear, the way you feel a storm before you see it. I signal early, a declaration to myself. The river opens, the rock backs away, and the ramp rises toward sodium orange. I commit at a speed that lets me pretend I am in control. The ramp curves, and the world becomes a bowl of light. A diner sits with chairs up and windows blank. I pull into a space that lets me watch the entrance, and the road, and the exit, in a single sweep of my eyes. We do not speak for a long minute. The engine ticks as it cools, and a moth knocks itself silly against the lamp. When we talk, the words are short and careful. That was strange. It is probably nothing. Maybe the driver was tired. Maybe this stretch has its own rules at night. We watch our reflections in the glass door and decide we will not leave until someone else arrives. Any witness, any noise, any ordinary person, to dilute the strange. A hatchback rolls in with a couple and a child who wants a drink from a machine that is dark. Their presence cuts the tension like a knife through cling film. I start the engine and feel silly for flinching. We loop the lot, line up with the road, and I check the rear camera out of habit, mostly to avoid the stroller they are pulling from the boot. In the corner of the screen, something stands between two pumps. It is the outline of a person with the head turned too far toward our sound. The face is a blur, dark on pale, or maybe pale on dark, and I know immediately that I do not want clarity. Do not look, I say, and my sister is already looking away. We take the ramp and rejoin the highway like a bead of water rejoining a stream. The mirror shows only distance and the rolling orange rhythm of the lamps. I drive the next 10 miles without blinking. My sister watches the right side of the road like she expects the river to step up onto it. We do the rest of the journey with few words. The gorge opens, the trees thin, the night tilts toward morning. When birds begin to fuss beyond the cut rock, their small voices feel like a promise that the world contains ordinary things. By the time we reach the suburbs, the sky is the color of cold tea. In daylight, the story is easier to manage. I lay out the pieces on the kitchen table of my mind. A car that holds distance, with intent. A tunnel, a blackout, a pass, a waiting shape at a pump. I can make the order neat, yet the feeling remains like a smell in a room you cannot locate. And then we agree not to drive that stretch at night for a while. A while becomes months. Every time we see a turnout carved into rock, we both glance into it without admitting we have done so. On good days, the memory feels like a tale we tell. On bad days, it feels like a rule we learned the hard way. When I finally drive the gorge alone, sunlight throws gold on the water and makes the trees look friendly. I pass the exit with the closed diner and do not look. Then look anyway. I do not see a figure at the pumps. I see my own small car moving through a world that does not care that I am in it, and that is its own kind of comfort.
We leave the late film buzzing, the kind of ending that makes you argue while you are still throwing the drinks in the bin. The car park glows wet, and our shoes slap a rhythm as we cross to the car. Once we hit the on-ramp, the city noise drops away like a curtain. The motorway takes us, wide and calm, and the empty lanes feel like a gift. I recline the passenger seat a little, and the driver says, "Keep me honest." I promise to stay awake and fail for about 6 seconds before the first yawn hits. In the mirror, a white truck appears as a small idea. It grows in the glass the way a thought grows when you try not to think it. The driver says we have company, casual, but I hear the tightness under it. The truck comes on and holds our bumper like a magnet. Brights flare, and the cabin turns surgical. The driver signals right to let it pass and moves. The truck drifts over with us like we are attached by a rope. The driver signals left, and the truck mirrors that too. Perfect. Indifferent. 3 lanes, no one else. A dance we did not agree to. We try the polite scripts, a light tap on the brake to flash a reminder. The truck closes the gap as if we asked for it. A quick wave, "Take the lane, friend. We do not care what you do." The truck rumbles on, steady, unreadable. The hair on my arms lifts in that stupid way it does when your body believes the room has changed. Up ahead, the motorway splits. One route carries on straight, a smooth river. The other peels toward the ring road. The driver straddles the paint like someone who wants to keep both doors cracked. The truck tucks close. So close the grille disappears under the rear glass. So close I cannot see the plate even if I wanted to. I can feel the driver think in short sentences. Now, not now. Now. We commit at the last possible breath. Indicator, a cleaner line than I felt capable of, a sharper cut than I like. The truck lunges, the weight of it late to follow, and then it commits to the main lanes and roars forward. The relief is not graceful. We both make the kind of noise that lives between a laugh and a sob. The absence of light in the rear glass feels like silence you can touch. The spur eases us down to a bright forecourt where a few machines beep to nobody. The driver parks with the nose facing out and our backs against glass, where cameras wear little plastic domes like helmets. We get out to pace it off and then decide to stay in the car because the open air feels worse than the cabin. I pretend to read crisp flavors. The driver pretends to check the oil level on a sealed bonnet. No one is inside. The door is propped open with a rubber wedge. The till is closed and the light over it is on, which makes the emptiness stranger. A hatchback glides through and does not stop. A taxi passes. A bus with no passengers sighs at the corner and rolls away again. The world has plenty going on that does not involve us. We swap seats because the driver hands me the keys with trembling fingers. I pretend my hands are steady, then use two hands for the simple act of putting the car in reverse. The rear view mirror points a fractional hair too high, so I press the tab and lower it until I can see the pumps and the mouth of the spur. Habit makes me search for the white truck, even as I tell myself not to. We take the quiet route home on purpose. A string of yellow boxes, a row of sleeping terraces, a roundabout that no one else needs. The new driver, me, keeps the speed under the signs, like the signs can keep us safe. The old driver stares at their reflection in the dark glass and works on breathing like a normal person. At a red light, I say something that feels like a marble in my mouth. I think he had a gun. The sentence turns the air thick. The driver does not answer right away. The light turns green, and we roll forward like nothing at all has happened. The word gun changes the shape of the earlier images. It gives the story a new weight. I try to explain. When the truck sat on our bumper, I watched the wing mirror like a television. I thought I saw an arm extended at window height, not a phone, not a cigarette, not a bored hand on a wheel. A straight line from shoulder to elbow, to wrist to something small that owned every other thought I had. I did not say it then, because words can make a car clumsy. Silence covers 2 long blocks. We both replay the scene with a new frame over it, a transparency that makes everything darker. If the truck had taken the spur, if the timing had been different by a heartbeat, if one of us had blinked at the wrong moment. The story splits into a tree with 1,000 branches, and on almost all of them, we bleed. We reach the street where the houses know our names. The porch light throws a circle that looks like a fort for children. We sit in the idling car with the heater blowing breath over our legs. We agree to call it in. The call is awkward because a story with no plate, no witnesses, and a maybe gun sits like a cloud in a clear sky. The person on the other end is kind and sounds tired. Sleep will not sit still. We pour cereal and eat it dry with spoons because the clink keeps us awake. The image from the mirror returns the way a headache returns, not worse, just present. A chrome slice, a posture. The way the truck matched our lane like it was playing a game we did not know. We put the keys in the center of the table like a little altar. For a week, every truck is the truck. Every bright headlight on a rear window feels like a hand on a shoulder. I check the mirror too often and then check it again to see if I checked it too often. I practice breathing when a bumper fills the glass. I learn to let a thought walk past me without asking it to sit down. When we finally go back to a late film, we choose a different cinema on a street that does not feed directly into the motorway. The film is friendly, and the ending is easy to agree on. We step into air that smells like rain and petrol, and the car park looks ordinary. On the way home, a white truck changes lanes behind us at a respectful distance. I see it, note it, and let it go. Months pass, and the story compresses into one sentence for strangers. A truck followed us, with friends. The sentence unspools into details and then stops before the part where I say the word. There is no lesson that makes sense other than the one that all drivers already know. Some people use a road to move through the world. Some people use a road to make the world smaller for you. Sometimes I replay the moment at the spur. In the friendly version, we take the exit sooner and the truck never matters. In the honest version, we took the only door that was open. Luck wore the mask of strategy, and we accepted the compliment. When I check the mirror now, I look for light, and for the absence of light, and for the shape that absence can take. The car is cleaner than it used to be. The mirrors are set just so. The seat never reclines past the notch that makes me too comfortable. I do not trust empty lanes the way I once did, yet I still love a quiet road at night. That love now shares the cabin with a passenger that never speaks. I call it attention. It tells me where to look, and then it lets me drive.
The sun is high and flat, the kind that bleaches signs and leaves shadows as thin as pencil lines. I pull into a highway station that looks new and abandoned at the same time. There is a twin station across the lanes, same canopy, same flags, same promises of coffee that nobody will keep. Insects rasp in the heat like they are sawing the air into pieces. I want a bathroom and a bottle of water. The doors are locked. A paper note curls under old tape, back soon, and the edges are the color of tea, which tells me what soon means out here. The air smells like hot rubber. My car lock chirps, and the sound echoes, which makes the empty feel personal instead of general. I stretch my back and feel eyes on me, which is ridiculous because there is no one. No cashier head behind a till, no truck idling behind a bay, no local sweeping a bin. The parcel locker has sun-bleached labels that read as nothing at all. I tell myself I am fine. I tell myself the heat can make a person spook. The courier truck coasts in with perfect timing. Not a rush, not a creep, just tidy. The brand is familiar enough to feel safe. The driver hops out, cap low, smile ready. He waves like a neighbor, parks near but not too near, and the distance he chooses feels deliberate. I stand in the shallow shade and squint. He asks if I can give him a jump. His tone carries a thread of urgency, just enough to press me toward the space between our vehicles, just enough to make my body consider moving before my mind has decided. He gestures to the bonnet, then to the shadowed gap beside the pillar. My car does have cables in the boot. My legs do not want to walk. I say sorry, I am not comfortable. The words feel formal in the hot air. He nods right away, all good, and the nod is crisp, like a motion he has practiced. He does not try a second pitch. He turns, climbs back in, and closes the door in a single smooth line. I feel the temperature drop a degree that has nothing to do with the weather. The truck starts clean. No cough, no hesitation, no symptom of a dead battery. It pulls away, cuts into a gap, and disappears into highway glare. I stand with my hands hanging until the moment catches up with me. The request was the hook. The space between our bumpers was the line. I picture myself in that gap and feel my stomach get small. I walk the length of the canopy because I need to do something with my legs. My footfalls come back at me. The glass shows my reflection with a look I do not like, the look of a person who stepped away from a door they were not meant to open. Instinct says, sit in the car, lock the doors, cool the cabin, and leave. Inside, the seatbelt is hot enough to sting. The engine turns, the air conditioner coughs, and then gets to work, and my eyes sting from relief. I put the car in drive, and then stop with my foot on the brake. If I call someone, what do I report? A stranger asked for help, and then did not need it, and left too fast. It rings as thin as a story told by a nervous person. I roll to the edge of the highway and wait for a gap, indicator ticking like a little hammer. Across the lanes, the twin station holds the exact same empty pose, a mirror that makes the scene feel staged. In my mirror, the forecourt I am leaving looks harmless, bright, and simple. The part of my brain that likes tidy explanations mutters about coincidence and polite people and batteries that take a charge. Another part of me does not believe any of it. It lists the tells like items on a receipt. The approach was too neat. The position would have put me between two vehicles and a pillar, out of easy sight from the road. The ask came right away. Then the pivot to departure came right away too. The engine that was supposed to be dead woke like it had been waiting for a cue. I joined the flow. The map on the dash draws a clean line toward the next services that promises food and noise. My hands leave damp half moons on the wheel. I tell myself not to be dramatic. I tell myself that we are built to be kind, and that kindness can be used like a tool by people who know how. The proper services arrive like a small city. A friar hisses. A toddler refuses a coat and then accepts it and laughs. The lights are too bright and perfect. It feels like walking back into a world that runs on rules. I lean on a laminated table and let the last of the adrenaline burn off in a prickly wave. When a friend calls, I line up the facts like coins. Empty station, courier truck. Ask for a jump. Refusal. Immediate start. Quick exit. The feeling that arrived first and the proof that arrived after. My friend says I did the right thing. I believe them. And still I feel rude for denying a stranger help in a place where help can feel like oxygen. That night, sleep is a door that will not latch. I dream of rows of lockers with all the labels scraped away. Every doorway in the dream is wedged open with a brick. Morning puts everything back in ordinary places. The kettle boils. The phone pings about a delivery. The road outside the window carries commuters who have never heard my story. A week later, I pass the exit and look without meaning to. The twin stations still face each other like cards on a table. A different van idles under the canopy with the windows dark. I keep my eyes on the lane and tell myself not to give the image a narrative it has not earned. That is what fear wants. It wants me to write the ending before the scene is over. I add jumper cables to the boot anyway. I practice the sentence in my mind that ends with, I am calling the police now. I make a rule for myself that I only offer help where there are people or cameras or bright light, and never between two bumpers in a quiet place. I do not write the rule down. I do not need to. Sometimes I imagine the driver with the cap, sitting in a lay-by with the engine off, trying the same ask on someone else. Maybe he needed a start once, for real, and now he uses the muscle memory of that need as a costume. Maybe there are two men and a second vehicle behind the pillar. The facts cannot answer any of that. Facts sit neatly on the table and leave room for imagination to make trouble. On the next long drive, I stop at a busy forecourt instead. There is a dog with its head out a window, and it grins at everyone who passes. A woman asks if I can hold a door, and I do, and she says thanks, and that tiny exchange feels like a clean glass of water. It is not that the world is kind, it is that the world contains kindness, and I am allowed to choose which parts to touch. I still think about the crisp nod, the way the truck started, the way the air cooled without wind. The memory is not loud anymore. It sits in the glove box of my mind, folded and ready. If someone asks for help in an empty place, I will remember how my legs refused to walk, and I will listen to them first.
Now we are on the road home, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Good night.